Omar, welcome back. Thank you for coming to One Rental at a Time. And you're going to be a featured speaker at our Vegas event in February. I'm so happy for that opportunity. What's been going on?
Dude, I'm excited for that because I was there last year and
Just
just to
fly on the
see,
wall.
yeah, just to see how a community of like you're posting videos online. Like, yes, the comments are lighting up on fire and all that stuff, but like to see people in person and then, shake hands, hug people. Like it really is, it just revealed how powerful all this stuff is.
Yeah, it was the first time we got together in real life, and you never know as somebody putting on an event how the audience is going to be. I can control the speakers, I can control the agenda, I can control the facility, but I can't control the audience, and that audience lit me on fire. I went into that event saying it was a one-time thing because it was just a celebration of 50,000, which is like a point in time.
Sure.
And by the end of day one, I was convinced I would do it again this year. So thank you for being a fly on the wall. And more importantly, thank you for, coming out and being a speaker. I think the audience is going to love it.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So you and I have done some content. We have a particular passion for helping 40 plus, get started in content creation.
2.0, if that
2.0, yeah.
Offended. I don't know. Just what's the
politically.
I think
that feels good, right?
Yeah.
Because, you hear the number 40, 50, 60.
Yeah.
Maybe you recoil from that. But if you talk about 2.0, I think that's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it gives everybody hope and vision. But really talk about what you think this 2.0 is from you, because frankly, you're in 2.0 for yourself and, you're not 40.
Yeah. Well, I like to define the 2.0 person. Yeah, we could say the age is like upper 30s and pretty much 40 plus. Sure. But it's also just stage of life. It's, you've lived. Like if I could say, if I ask you the question, have you lived a life
right
in any capacity? And your answer is yes. I like to say you're qualified to be somebody who could create content that could help a lot of people. Yeah. And honestly, I think I say that because just like money and marriage, they say like money and marriage are just magnifiers. I believe content creation is also a magnifier. And so if there's something that you've been passionate about or something you've done for a long time, you've been obsessed about, whatever, like you've just spent more time than the average person, you just have something to offer. And with content creation being this now new opportunity, you could magnify that. And I think it's a cool opportunity.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, 40 plus, 2.0 era really overcomplicate it. Because when I think about, helping somebody get started, especially for the older folks, there's really three things you could do. One, you could chase that passion, right? You've probably had a hobby or an interest for decades. You have seen more, done more in that area, and you are that expert, right, at that. So whether it's collecting cars, Pokemon cards, making jam, whatever, you have decades of experience. There's history and stories to tell. Second, you've lived a life. You've probably suffered, some trauma, some events, some death, divorce, loss of job. There's some hard things that happen in life. And I have found that some people take on the challenge of sharing that. And when you do it, something strange happens. You actually heal, right? You heal from some trauma and you get it out of your system, but you also realize you're not alone. Right? There's so many things that you're going out there. Like a buddy of mine watched our video together on your channel, and he survived cancer at 28. Right? Whoa. Think about that. 28-year-old, get the diagnosis of the big C. You think you're still bulletproof, and he's like, now he's 40, right? He's got one young child, a second one on the way, and he's like, I've got to share this. I'm like, you bet your ass you got to share this. I mean, there are other 28-year-olds right now finding out they have this, and you got to give them hope, man.
You're right.
Right? Not only did you kick its ass and beat it, but you've lived a life. You've got a family. You've got 2 kids. Yes, go.
Right.
Right? And then, of course, there's the third avenue. You want to change something. You want to make a drastic change. You're 300 pounds and you want to lose weight. You've lost your job and you're going to go do this. Right? You can always document, starting from scratch, right? Getting that origin story moving forward. Folks, it's one of those 3 things. Don't overthink it and go.
Right. Yeah. And the smartphone, just start with the smartphone.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I mean, I imagine there are, I guess it could be split, but most people don't care for it to be perfect. I think what we care about, or what people care about when showing up, is just, what will other people think? And that's why the perfectionism steps in. You want to show up perfect for somebody, but there is something about that, making that authentic, transparent content that is why people will actually connect. So it's like, we want to actually remove the reason why people will connect with our content because we want to show up perfect. And I always like to just kind of break that limiting belief with the idea that, like, it might hurt your feelings, but nobody's going to watch your first few videos.
Exactly.
Or your first 1,000 in your case,
go 1,000.
No. And so, do it. There is the selfish nature in starting out creating content is to just do it for your own development, and even, just getting something off your chest. There's something good about that creative outlet, And so I say, like, what better way to, document it, or what better way to just get it on video? How am I going to say this? Like, I've always regretted not just filming something, and then, I've never not regretted filming something, know? So, like, my son just turned 1. Woo-hoo. And I forgot to I wanted to film like a solid 5-minute unedited, and then upload it straight to YouTube, unlisted for our own purposes.
Sure.
And I forgot. And I was like, shoot. So my sister stayed later, and she gave him a haircut, his first haircut. And I just kept the camera on the entire time.
Nice.
So it's weird because we used to do that in the 90s and in the 80s, but now we don't. Now
it was a big old camcorder like this big, right?
But it was so easy to, like, watch it back. But just the imperfect, capture is, I think, where people need to be.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of folks who have interest. Even they probably even selected the one of 3 things I've just described, but they are stuck on that perfection thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got to get past that. And again, you talk about nobody watching the first videos. I'm like, folks, nobody's going to watch the first 50. So, a lot of folks, when you think about the first 50, nobody's going to watch. I really challenge them to create videos, because I hear a lot of people going, I'm going to do 1 video a week. Well, I'm like, so for the first year, you're going to not get a lot of traction. You're not going to really learn anything. And, oh, by the way, if you're like most people, you're going to quit.
Mm-hmm.
So I suggest go live 50 times, right? Just
Good.
Record, right? Faster, right? If we know the first 50 aren't going to be seen, the goal should be to get through the first 50.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm really scared about the message of just give me 1 video a week, because I believe nobody watches the
I say
first
that,
50.
bro. Why you coming
I'm
at
telling
me
you,
like
man,
that?
let's improve that. Let's get through the first 50, because if you do the whole 1-year plan,
right,
nobody's coming.
Yeah, man. And I would say, here's what's cool about just, being yourself and doing that is, if by the stars aligning, if a video in your attempt of getting through the 50 do really well, you don't realize what you just did, and I will tell you what you just did, is you made people fall in love with the real you. Yes, exactly. And now if it doesn't, you just get better, you get the insight, you get the feedback, whatever. No, but good. If a video just takes off, and sometimes it has a tendency for that to happen, because I always like to say that the way somebody discovers you is the expectation they have of you. Correct. Or the way somebody consumes you is the expectation. So if you do get to, video 100 and you've got it down and it's polished, now when people discover you, you kind of, they don't expect anything less. Right. So there's a cool tension to manage there. Like, yeah, just be you. And I've been seeing a lot of that on YouTube popping off, by the way, just like unedited vlogs, people going out and then just an 18-minute like vomit. And then I look and I'm like, they have 1,000 subscribers. This video has 182,000 views. Like, how cool. Yeah, no, exactly. And I think that's the key. The other thing I want a lot of new content creators, especially early in the journey, is remember what's viral for you. Like in the beginning, you're going to get 8 or 12 or 16 views, but you might get one that pops off at 98 or 115, and just realize that feeling of going from, 8, 10 to 115 is the same feeling you get probably when you see a video, normally do 50,000, but does 500,000. Yeah. Right. It's always what's viral for you in that moment, in that season of your content creation. But it's a very interesting feedback loop. Yes. And what I want people to realize, especially in the beginning, you're learning, you're getting comfortable on camera, your speech, you're getting comfortable with silence, tempo of voice. And
do more, not less in the beginning, because I think it is that authentic self, especially if you step back and realize what's coming our way with AI, right? There will be some channels and some things that are so polished and maybe even someday completely AI generated. The authentic person is going to win, right? There will be a time in the very near future where the unpolished video is better than the AI generated, soup to nuts thing. So realize that people in general want to know people.
Yeah.
So, don't sweat. I hate the idea of being perfect is a game you can't win.
Yeah. I think he's a friend of yours. I mean, because he was at the event last year. The Uneducated Economist. What's his name?
Simon.
Simon. So he's an employee. He works regular job.
He works at a retail lumber job.
Okay. And dude sits in his car.
He does.
Which the acoustics are amazing.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, it's a really tight studio, right? The sound is good,
but the lighting is great.
Yeah.
And I love that he just puts his phone. He's kind of like just like you're in your passenger seat vibe, but
exactly.
But it's just cool because he removed whatever obstacle that would have been to just share the thing that he's consumed with, maybe in work, during work, or outside of work, And he's got over 100,000 subs.
Oh, it's 160,000. I just talked to him yesterday.
And it's no, that's what I'm talking about. Just
let's go.
Smartphone, find the spot. I'm sure he has some level. He has some thought that he puts into it prior to, but then it's just let it rip. No edits.
And the other thing that's magic that he has transitioned to is he just presses go live. It's not even a video. It's not even an upload. He gets in his car. He typically tries to find a nice scenery for the background, right? He's in an area where there's water, so you'll see that if he can.
Yeah.
But I have seen him do lives at 9:00 at night, and the lighting is shit.
Oh wow.
Right? He's just got the little car light on, right? Because that's all that's there.
Yep.
And then it's a phone, and he just goes live. Go live, folks.
Yeah.
It is empowering, right? Even when you stammer and you miss, it is okay. We are generally as humans forgiving for honest attempts.
That's really good.
And again, if you're in that, if I see so many people struggling, like I'm going to create the perfect plan. I'm going to create my 3-year vision. I'm going to go live and just introduce yourself.
Boom.
Be done.
Yep.
What do you think?
I love it. And obviously what we're talking about is contextualized in more or less YouTube side of things. I like Instagram stories for this reason, because it is just it goes away in 24 hours. So like a friend of ours, Heather Torres, who used to work at Think Media with me, the way she got her confidence on camera was she did 30 days straight on Snapchat.
Okay.
And in the same way, it was like, there's a ticker, right? It goes away.
Yeah.
And you could watch it back, there's a level, maybe the pressure is off a little bit more, but it doesn't remove the fact that just I know it's awkward, but like look at the camera and talk to it and act like somebody's there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've seen you interview lots of 40-plus-year-olds folks. There's a gentleman, I think his channel is Fargo or something like that. And you talked about content creation equals wealth creation.
That's an Omar bar right
That's
there.
An Omar bar. Yeah. Full credit, trademarked. Give him his receipts when you use it. But break that down for me. What does that really mean? Because it's sexy. It probably gets people's attention when they hear it, but what does it mean?
Well, what does it mean? Let's first define wealth. And
Okay.
I think wealth has a lot of different, it's a very self-defined idea, but wealth is being able to do what you want when you want. Time freedom, money freedom.
Okay.
And it takes time to build wealth. It takes delayed gratification to build it. And I'm learning a lot from you. And I'm realizing that wealth has this tendency to sit outside of time after it's created, or once you've created it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's protected. It's, we moved out of our first home and now we're renting out that home. And now no matter what, till Jesus comes back, we can rent that out for more than what it's worth. Doesn't matter what the market is, doesn't matter. It is now protected. So the reason why I say content creation is wealth creation is because number one, your ability to go from one to one to one to many and then maybe some people are, business oriented. Like you think sales, like
Sure.
you think selling one person a car could take hours,
Right.
but you can actually create content and sell a car to people and sell it to thousands.
Yeah.
And so on a time standpoint, I believe content creation is wealth creation because of the ability to have that watch time to show up for more people, but all you did was show up once.
Yes.
You just planted one seed and now it's doing its thing, right? So one of my favorite stats on YouTube is watch time. And I believe in 2024, our watch time, I believe, was over 500,000 hours. And so if we go, what is 500,000 hours in days? Just said years. So it's 20,000 days. So
wow. So
what's 20,000? Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. 6.5 years.
your numbers guy.
Yeah. So it's crazy, right?
So, I mean, if you say how much time I spent on making the videos, let's just say a total of 50 hours because we had 30 uploads, So
that's a crazy ratio.
Crazy ratio.
50 hours of content, 500,000 of watch hours.
Yes. So
that's insane. 1,000 to 1.
So let's
right?
now if we're talking,
no, that's 10,000 to 1. Jeez.
Is that?
That's nuts.
So you're getting excited because you're a wealth guy.
I'm like, damn.
No, because
well, the other thing is it builds because
right.
I don't know. I mean, I would bet money if 500,000 was your 2024 goal, it'll be 1.2 million.
And so, yeah, it compiles over itself, kind of like the SM 500.
Like wealth. I get it now.
And even when you see like the graph on YouTube, it's like stocks, right? It's like the longer you're in, the more you do it, the more intention, the more you put seeds in there.
Yeah.
The daily becomes a little bit more.
Right.
And so I can't think, I'm trying to equate, and I've been on I'm just trying to think through what other activity can yield that kind of, result.
Yeah, it's wild to think about because again, one of the things that I've been putting out there for years now is wealth creation is this very simple formula, and see if we can relate it to content. Wealth creation step 1 is you have to create disposable income. Mm-hmm. And there are only 3 ways you can do that. Make more money, spend less money, or do both. Right? Step 2 is you got to become good at something, and then you need a decade. Wealth takes time.
Yep.
If you play content, it's kind of the same thing, right? You have to find time to create content. Then you have to get better at it for time. But the beauty about content, which I'm now putting this all together, is it just builds like a tsunami, right? The longer you're in, the better you get, the more reach you have. And it's wild.
And I'm grateful that I didn't know that going in. Obviously,
neither did I. I didn't know until like 2 minutes ago.
And it wasn't until, because like really when I was making content with Sean at Think Media, I really I owned it. Like I treated it like it was my channel, and I was so like locked in on making the best videos I possibly could. Little did I know that there was like all this stuff happening, people spending time, people watching a video breakdown of a video podcast setup and then starting their own podcast studio, not telling me anything, not commenting, and just seeing me at a conference or in an airport and say, hey, I actually started a business from one of your free videos. I think because I think wealth is it's 360, right? Like it's time, money, and fulfillment. Like there's so much more to it. Mm-hmm. And when I think about influence and impact, like that 500,000 watch hour thing, that's just like I from their point of view, hung out with them.
Right.
They've got my essence, and my content is very valuable, and so I'm able to help people at a very high level and deep level, and so that's attention, right? And we've heard people say that it used to be oil and now the new oil is attention,
right?
And so if you can just get eyeballs, I know, and here's why I know. There's still more I don't see. That yes, if I stick at it, who knows that maybe 5, 7, 10, 15 years from now, there's just an exit.
Yeah.
Because the company loves the audience that I've built.
Right.
And then boom, like it's like I got to do something while in the moment enjoying it, and then it was all worth my time because there's value there. Now, when it comes to like the making the money part, you know, I don't think you need a larger audience to make a lot of money. I do think you can have a clear offer. Like if your offer aligns with your content. So, and I think the more specific, the more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Another way to put it, the more specific, the more prolific. But I have somebody who in my my inner circle, she does Airbnb in Ohio, very specific.
Right.
Airbnb in Ohio.
Okay.
She understands the rules and regulations, the areas you can't do it. And I just said, start there. She has 27 subscribers.
Okay.
9 videos uploaded. And maybe 15 to 50 views each video. And she got one guy to reach out to her and said, hey, can you help me find one? So then she made a commission on that house. Yeah. It was like 600 grand. The house that was bought.
She made 12 grand.
12 grand. And then he
for
was like,
27 subs.
Yeah. But then he was like, but then can you do all this stuff to put it on Airbnb? She's like, yeah, that's an additional 5.
Yeah.
So boom, she's at 17. And he's like, can you operate the Airbnb?
Now she's making a drip.
And I was like, when it's all said and done, how much is this, client gonna, she was like, probably like 30. So I was like, you know how many YouTubers or people who posted content have not made 30,000 with 27 subscribers?
Yeah.
So when I say wealth creation, I mean, that guy was able to build trust with her on autopilot, on automation. And so that's where I see it, like wealth and that's just one form of monetization. Yep. We're not talking, I just told you that I just recently signed a brand deal.
Yeah.
There are some people that won't make $80,000 in a few years. There's teacher salary here in CCSD. That's almost 2.5 years of salary, which is sad.
Crazy. Yeah.
However, it's all because of attention. It's
Yeah.
all because of audience. It's all because of content.
Yeah. Well, I want to break this down a little more because again, when you think about one rental at a time, I'm generally speaking to real estate investors, W-2 employees and the like. What I love about the department or the video department is you're scratching a different itch. You're really speaking to entrepreneurs. And I think that, and you're doing it in an authentic way. You're not selling the hype and get rich quick and all that other nonsense, which some other people are.
Right.
You're like, no, this takes work. This takes focus. And I love that Airbnb example because again, if you're starting out, the more focused Ohio Airbnb, the tighter that is, the greater your impact can be. Because that's what I talk to new creators about, especially if you're Gen X like me, you have a W-2 job and you're starting to build something for the 2.0 era that's maybe a decade away.
Yeah.
I wish I started it a decade earlier, right? You're not going to chase the money. You don't have to chase clicks and all that other nonsense. If you just build something authentic now, you'll have something to roll into and you won't skip a beat.
Right.
Right. So again, if you're in that season, there's nothing wrong. Like I got a buddy of mine, Millennial Mike, will be at the event as well. He calls himself the king of Gary, Indiana. He doesn't live there. He lives in Washington.
That's funny.
He's a policeman and a SWAT officer in Washington, but he chose to be an out-of-state investor. And, he went out there via, some connections that I had and all of that. And where he really took off was he has a YouTube channel. It's about, I think it's 16,000 subs, something like that. But all he's done recently for like the last 18 months is every video has Gary, Indiana, or, Northwest Indiana or whatever. And again, he doesn't get the most views, but he's like, Mike, you have no idea. The pipeline he gets, off-market deals he gets, money private money he gets. Because now, if you ever search Gary, Indiana, it's like he owns the first page.
Right.
So again, it's nothing wrong with being focused.
No, yeah. And I think people don't realize like people aren't looking for somebody who has a lot of views to work with.
No.
I'm sure his name's Gary.
Gary, Indiana, his name's Mike.
Mike. Mike, his tone is building trust.
Absolutely.
So if he's
consistency.
And if you could see somebody posting consistently, you click on 1, 2, or 3 videos, and in the tone, you could tell so much by a tone. Like, dang, this guy knows what they're talking about. Like, he's not skipping a beat. He's able to create a connection behind it, or illustrate this, or like this guy, I could trust this person.
Yeah. In worst case, even though maybe it's not trust to like, hey, I'm gonna let my daughter go out with him. But it's enough to get on a phone.
Right.
It's like, okay, I'll DM him on IG and we'll set up a phone call. And then that goes well. Again, relatively you know, I'd call him a medium-sized channel, probably more than a lot of people starting for sure, but he's got years on this now. But he's made hundreds of thousands of dollars because he's like, I don't need to go viral. I don't want to be the biggest channel. I want to dominate Gary, Indiana.
Yep.
And that focus is just like lightning in a bottle.
So good. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's unfortunate when people like aren't consistent and get big wins like that. Like I have a friend who's a luxury real estate agent here in Vegas, and I wish he was more consistent on, you know, cause he'll hit me up and be like, dude, I got another listing, or I got another, you know, a couple moving to Las Vegas. And I'm like, bro, just keep doing the YouTube thing. Like, bro, it's working with your minimal effort. But it is crazy. Yeah. I mean, he's noticed even how, you know, because he's doing it, I always like to say doing leads to discovery. So because he's creating the content when he does and when he can, when people give him why they chose him, it's usually just a little thing he said in the video. Yeah. If he says sometimes like, so if you're moving from like the Pacific Northwest, like this kind of architecture kind of makes more sense. Yeah. Like just because of that phrase, somebody there just made the connection. They're like, bro, you spoke right to us. You spoke to us. You know, so it's, and the possibilities are endless. There is no, I think it's all just based on, I like to say like, make content on the stuff that you could talk about forever. Like, you don't want to, if you are afraid at the idea that you can't do it for a long period of time, I would say you might not be deep enough in it, and that's fine. There's probably something else that you are disregarding because you're so deep in it and you're so familiar in it. But like, I could start a coffee YouTube channel if I wanted to. I'm so deep in the coffee. Obviously I haven't yet, but I can. Right. And same with shoes. I could do it with shoes. There's all these things in my life that I'm like, man, I could actually go down that path. But I think I just encourage people, like, don't be ashamed of the thing that you are
that
familiar
makes you
with.
right. Yeah. And again, right back to the 3 things that start. I think that's the funnest YouTube channel. If you're a Gen Xer, 40 plus, or anybody that's got a decade of love and experience with something, creating a channel and consistently producing content's not going to feel like work. It will be fun. And then, oh, by the way, if you want to really step back and look at it from a financial perspective, you can turn your hobby into a business, which then gives you tax write-offs. Hello, talk to your accountant. But yeah, I mean, like if you love shoes, like just for example, and you're going to do shoe reviews, guess what? You go buy a pair of shoes. Right. That is product for content creation. Yes. Check to your accountant, but sounds like a write-off to me. Yes. At least partially, maybe half or something. But again, talk to your accountant. But that's how you can tie all of this together to building wealth. Yes. Content is wealth creation.
100. Well, one of my favorites, I don't know, maybe check with your CPA, but is buy whatever clothes you want. Just put your logo on it.
There you go. Yeah. Like
you can buy a Louis Vuitton suit.
Yeah, you could.
And then just throw your logo in the back maybe or whatever. I'm not saying do this, but I'm just saying it's an hypothetical. Right. Hypothetical. Because I mean, sometimes, I love wearing my hat.